Well, I've done all our marketing and the cleaning.
Yes, Stephen. Be that as it may, the fact is, I cleared and cleaned that refrigerator the last time it needed a good gutting. Now, sir, it is your turn.
In your dreams, I cleaned the stove the last time and the oven.
Oh, please. Give me a break, chef. This is a glass-top stove, and the oven is self-cleaning. Now, I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to settle this once and for all. Heads or tails?
I will toss.
Tails.
Oh, tails. That's 2 out of 3.
No. Lady Luck has spoken, Stephen, and today she is on my side. Now, make sure you clear those shriveled turnip from the lower bin. I'll be on my cell phone in case anybody's looking.
Yum, 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 yum.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of One Chef One Critic. I'm Karl Wells, food critic for The Telegram.
And I'm Chef Steve Watson of Central Dairies.
Well, Steve, it is really important to maintain a clean and tidy refrigerator, isn't it?
Absolutely, Carl. Whether it be around Christmas, a festive period, holidays, or even an event that you're hosting in your house, it's key to have a good space in your fridge so you can store all that food so it's nice and cold. So there's no cross-contamination, there's no salmonella, no foodborne illnesses can take place. So keep it nice and clean and remove all those jam jars and pickles that you haven't seen for months.
And scrubbing the shelves, I guess, is important too, because
Absolutely.
Invariably things drip.
Absolutely, from shelf to shelf.
And there are always stains on the shelves, of course.
Absolutely.
And I remember one time, though, I had the perfect fridge. It was a fridge that was mounted on the wall, and it had very shallow shelves.
So you could see everything that was in it.
And I could see everything that was
Exactly,
in there.
yeah.
Nothing got hidden in the back. So the minute anything started to go off, it was out of there.
Exactly.
But it is, especially for, if you're having a big party or something, it's important to maintain a clear, clean refrigerator. Coming up in the program today, our special guest is Tim Powers. Tim is a political pundit, a strategist, and vice chair of Summa Strategies in Ottawa. And what are we making with him today?
Well, we're not going to go home hungry today because we're going to be making a stuffed whole roast goose.
Oh, great celebratory meal. That's wonderful. And we also have Chef Richard Alata with us. He's with Yellow Belly Restaurant, and he's going to show us how to make tempura shrimp. So stay tuned. For a complete listing of One Chef One Critic recipes, wine lists, and more, check out our website. Let us know what you think of the show at 757-9600. And here we are with our guest, Tim Powers. And Tim, I think you're the first political pundit and strategist we've had on this program.
And you're making an interesting meal choice for a political strategist and pundit, particularly in election season.
We're going to roast a goose.
And me too, apparently.
Yes. Yeah. So, Stephen, tell us about this goose, which looks
Absolutely.
good.
Tim, as you mentioned, we are going to be roasting a goose and we're going to be making a chipolata dressing with it. And I do have some onions already being sorted off there. And then I'll get you to add some sausage meat. Then we're going to add some celery, some dried fruit and some nuts to it. So I'll get you to do that. If you can add that to it now with this. And away we go. We'll start cooking. And I'm going to get you, Karl, to saute some vegetables off. And we have a beautiful giblet gravy there as well. So
Okay, I think I can handle that.
you can handle that, can you?
So, Tim, you're a St. John's lad, and you've been in Ottawa, though, for almost 20 years, I think.
I have, yeah. I get back here frequently, though. I grew up here, went to school at St. Bon's, Brother Rice Memorial, and went away to work for John Crosby, which was quite the experience, and then have been living in Ottawa basically ever since.
Now,
I can take that from you.
You're
I'll
actually
leave that
related
with
to
you.
John Crosby, right? Through your mom?
Well, there was a day when nepotism was okay. Yes, he's my first cousin once removed.
Okay, excellent.
You want me to stir that?
Oh, absolutely. We'll get that cooking now.
You're going to keep that knife away from my back.
I am.
What I do, that's a more common occurrence.
Yeah.
I will also add some celery to that. We'll saute
Perfect.
that up as well.
Perfect.
But it's not just John Crosby. I mean, you come from a line of politicians, really, don't you?
Well, I like to joke that I'm either cursed or blessed because, at least on my mother's side of the family, one great-grandfather, William Warren, was at one time the Prime Minister of
That's right.
Newfoundland.
What was that, back in the 20s?
Late 20s, early 30s.
Okay.
And the other great-grandfather, Sir John Crosby, was the Minister of Finance. So I have it all around me, or I've had it all around me for a very long time, Karl.
Yes, that's right. There was another John C. Crosby, John Chalker Crosby.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And then, of course, John Carnell Crosby.
That's right.
Whom you worked for. Now, when you were growing up, did you talk politics around the around the dining table?
Well, that would probably be a pretty good guess. Politics, business, sports, you name it. As you know, there's nothing off limits at a Newfoundland dining room table, and that was certainly the case at our home.
Yeah, yeah.
So what we've got in there, Tim, we'll say we've got the sausage meat in there, our chipolata sausage meat, some onions and some celery. And we've also put some dried fruit in there. We've got some cherries, some raisins, and some cranberries in there. I'm also, you can either put chestnuts in there, but for this one, I'm putting some pecans as well.
Now, is this going to help my diet, Steve?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
especially with all that. We're going to slow cook the goose for about 3 hours, and it'll be beautiful. You know, so.
Perfect.
No chestnuts, Steve?
No chestnuts this time. I've substituted for pecans.
Oh, okay.
So, but chestnuts can be used.
All right, well,
Depending on your seasons as well and availability.
I'll let you get away with that one.
Now to that as well, normally locally here in Newfoundland, of course, you would put the savoury in there. But being the British man that I am, we're going to put a little bit of sage in there.
Sage.
Nice. Oh,
Your
yes.
citizenship's not going to get revoked.
No.
Okay.
I feel like I'm in a Dickens Christmas story.
Yeah.
So what was it like working for John Crosby when I mean, you were just out of university then, right?
Yeah. Well, you know, he was a quiet, reserved man, never entertaining or anything. I like to say that I was also very fortunate there. I mean, as many people saw and heard, what you see is what you get with them. Straight up,
that's right.
Fighting Newfoundlander always reminded you of how important it is to stand up for what you believe in, and always lots of stories and adventures with John.
Yeah.
Never a dull moment.
He's probably one of the most quoted politicians in Canada.
And I've been there when some of those quotes have taken place. I remember the day when he shut down the northern cod fishery.
Oh,
and,
yes, that's
he
right.
lamented that he didn't take those damn fish out of the sea.
Yeah.
And almost got pushed in the water at the time. He would have been cooked like that goose.
It's going to be, for sure.
Was there ever a time when you were trying to warn him away from saying something? Like, Mr. Crosby, I don't think you should say that.
Have you ever tried to tell him not to say something? No, I valued my employment at the time. But what we used to try and do was to have him be a little bit more brief. Brevity was not something he was familiar with. He was one of the old school orators who would speak for 56 minutes.
Exactly.
And I've pretty much heard all the jokes, all the stories, all the analysis, but he loved it when he got going.
Not quite as long-winded as Joey Smallwood, I suppose.
Well, yes, the transition from the barrowman to Crosby was not as significant.
You'd have to, I mean, to compare with Smallwood, you'd have to, I think Fidel Castro would probably be next on the
And he
list.
still lives.
That's right. That's right, yeah.
Smells good, Steve.
Absolutely, Tim. Now what I'm going to do, that's ready now. We can just turn the stove off, and I'm going to stuff the goose now, so...
I'm keeping that knife away from me. Steve.
Absolutely,
Good,
absolutely.
Good.
Smells beautiful, actually. So do you cook at all?
Well, now you're setting me up, aren't you?
Absolutely.
My mother is watching. She'll say he wouldn't know what a stove is. But see, Mom, I see one right here, and there's an oven there. I cook occasionally. I travel a lot, so I look for what Karl and others write en route, because I spend a lot of time on Air Canada tasting their delightful cuisine. So from time to time, Steve, I cook. It smells fantastic.
Absolutely. You can certainly smell that sage coming through and all that dried fruit in there. Yeah. And, of course, our pecans and our chipolata sausage meat there, so...
Tim, in your, I've noticed, you know, when I watch you on television in political debate and so on, you use humor a lot. Mm-hmm. Is that something that comes naturally to you?
Well, I don't think there's enough humor in politics anymore. You know, we're in this age where people are constantly engaged in aggressive partisan commentary that I don't think the viewers get anything from, and I certainly don't enjoy it myself. So I think when you grow up here in St. John's and you grow up in Newfoundland and Labrador, humor comes to you second nature. And if you can't laugh at yourself and laugh at the things that happen in politics, you're not worth much in my book.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
Well, and there's so much to laugh at. I mean, you look at our own comedians, whether they be Rick Mercer or This Hour's 22 Minutes, Krissy Holmes. Canadian politics gives them an everlasting storyline.
Sadly, though, in terms of politicians, we don't have the characters that we used to have years ago. You know.
No, we don't.
They're disappearing. I guess. What is it? Political correctness? That's
politics has become more professional in a way, in that there's an expectation that the politicians of today are trained in the fine arts of disciplined communication. So you don't get to see the personalities, and it's unfortunate because they make such a difference in the way people view politics.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. There was a time when if you did an interview with a politician, you could actually get them to
say something
to answer
truthful?
a question. No, they would actually answer the question. Now, I find it fascinating because, you know, journalists will ask a question, and they will just completely evade the answer. They will just ignore the question and go on to another, which I guess is the way they've maybe been taught by, you know, strategists.
Well, you don't want to cut me out of my living now. In part, that's what we do. But I miss that. I don't know if it was a golden age, but a great story I remember that George Baker told me, of course, the longtime Liberal MP and Senator, that in the old days, he and John Crosby used to call each other up before question period and get each other wound up to set up those wonderful theatrical moments we saw in the House of Commons. I wish there was more of that.
Yeah, and invariably they would end up, being clipped for the evening news.
And neither of them was knocked back by that exposure.
Or else you'd hear it on As It Happens or something, you know. Yeah.
So, Tim, what we've got here, I've just seasoned it. We're going to roast that with some apple cider. We put some fruit in there, some oranges and apples, and we'll pop that in the oven.
Oh, fantastic.
And so when we pop it in the oven, I'm going to take one out of the oven very quickly there, as you can see.
Now, see, Steve, if I cook, this is what I'd want. Have it done for me and brought out.
Absolutely.
Looks so magnificent.
Wow.
That is wonderful.
Okay,
Smells
this
excellent.
is my cue to go get a bottle of wine. I'll be back.
Okay, perfect.
Wow, that looks amazing.
Well, just a little bit of grease in there, isn't there? So,
Gives new meaning to the goose being cooked, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So what I would do with all that fat that's left over there, I would maybe keep it and make a duck confit and things like that, you see.
Smells so good.
Hi, Andrea.
Hi, Karl.
Well, we have a real celebration meal today. It's perfect for Christmas time or a family get-together. Roast goose.
Delicious.
With sausage stuffing. And it's got a very kind of sweet glaze on it. So what are we going to go for? Speaking of celebration, I noticed you do have a sparkling wine here.
I do. So we're kind of all over the map here. We have a white. This is a Chardonnay from Washington State, Charles Smith Winery. We'll play on the appley aromas and flavors that are usually in a Chard. So this has a nice full palate, nice richness, but a nice crisp finish as well. So it's going to deal with the gaminess of the goose, but also that sweet lacquered skin. I have Sebastiani Pinot Noir from Sonoma Coast, so less austere than the Burgundies, but still those beautiful things that we love about Pinot that go so well with things like turkey and goose. This has a little bit more fullness on the palate, and to deal with the crispiness and toastiness of the skin, there's some sort of coffee and caramel aromas and flavors that are in here.
I like that.
That's going to go beautiful with that brown skin of that goose. And then we have the Dutz Champagne. So this is from the little village of Ai, of course, in the Champagne region. And 80% of their picking area is Cru and Grand Cru vineyards. So really beautiful blend here. And again, champagne goes with everything.
This is a new one on me. I've never tasted this
Yeah,
one
I think
before.
it's fairly new at the NLC. So we have 23, 26, and 65.
Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to go with the Pinot Noir because I think it is kind of a nice combination with the poultry, and it's a classic combination, I guess. California Sunshine in a bottle.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
And we need a bit of that here.
That's right. So I'm going to go with the Sebastiani. Thank you.
Cheers, Karl.
Just a few more veggies on the plate there to go with our goose and our dressing there, our chipolata dressing. A touch more of our giblet gravy to go to the side, like so. And let's go and join Tim and Karl in the dining room and enjoy our festive meal.
There we go, a nice red wine to go with this plump roast goose. I can't wait to taste this. Have a taste, Tim, and see what you think.
Looks great, smells great.
It does, doesn't it?
Steve, you want to move to Ottawa?
Oh, no worries at all. No worries.
I need a cook.
Oh, yeah.
Very good.
There's all that sherry in the giblet gravy, I think.
I think it's more than that, but it's wonderful.
You've done a wonderful job, Mr. Cratchit.
Why, thank you.
Chef Cratchit. Tim, I want to ask you about being vice chairman of Summa Strategies. What exactly is Summa Strategies? And you also run another company called Abacus?
Abacus Data,
Yeah.
which is a public opinion research
Right.
company. So we're in the polling business, as we like to say, the kind where we collect data and don't do other things. And Summa is a consultancy. Have you ever seen the show Scandal? Which is a political show about operatives who help people when they're in difficult circumstances.
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen an episode, but yeah.
So we provide strategic advice for people who are dealing with government and other challenges that they may have from time to time.
Okay, so so if somebody gets themselves involved in some kind of controversy and they need to get some advice on how to cope with the media and how to
That entirely is part of what we do, and we also help people by trying to keep them out of controversy in the first place, giving them advice on how they manage relationships with governments and other large organizations. So that's what we do, and have been doing it for a while.
Now, from time to time, you also write for, I think you have written for the online Globe and Mail and also the Hill Times. The Hill Times, I guess, is strictly politics, but do you ever write about other things?
Yeah, I enjoy writing about different things. I've written for the Globe about mental illness, which is something that's very near and dear to many people who watch this program, and
Yes,
near and dear
yeah.
in our family. We've had people, including myself, who've dealt with depression and issues like that. So it's a nice link between the politics and the public policy and issues of personal interest.
Yeah. Now, just to go off on a completely other,
for it.
another tangent.
I know, never seen that before.
I was fascinated to learn that you actually did some work for the Innu years
We
ago.
did, yes.
And that had the kind of a profound effect on you working with the Innu. Tell us about it.
Well, when I was a young man working for John Crosby, I was handed the Innu file. Nobody sort of wanted to do it, and I took it up, and it led to this wonderful journey for me where I ended up working from a public policy perspective on it, and then doing 2 academic dissertations on the Innu, and then completing the circle, if you will, by helping them raise some money to build some healing centers in Davis Inlet, now Natwashish and Sheshashi. So very fulfilling.
So were you involved in any of the negotiations that went on?
Yeah, I did some of the negotiations in the early days around the relocation of the community, and you'll remember that was a very heated and topical issue, and still is, but it was fascinating because you got to learn a lot about another culture, which I don't think we know enough about or still understand.
Absolutely not.
And met a wonderful group of people who, like many others, trying to embrace modernity and moving from their traditional lifestyle. So an experience I'll never forget.
So will we see Tim Powers political candidate someday?
Well, let me give you the trained answer, which is I don't know, and I won't comment. Who knows? We'll see. I love politics. I love Newfoundland and Labrador, and maybe the time will come.
Well, Tim, all the best to you in the future. Thanks so much for being on One Chef, One Critic. You've been a fabulous guest.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see about that political career. Coming up next on the program, we have Chef Richard Alata with us from Yellow Belly Restaurant, and he's going to show us how to make tempura shrimp. Yellow Belly Restaurant and Gastropub is one of the most popular eateries in downtown St. John's. And it also houses a microbrewery that is one of the finest in Canada. As a matter of fact, I personally think they make some of the best beers in the country. They're great. The food there is also great. And that's due in no small measure to our guest today. He is the head chef of Yellow Belly Public House, Mr. Richard Alata. And welcome to our program, Richard.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure for having me here.
Pleasure to have you here. What are you going to do for us today?
I'm doing right now the tempura shrimp with a wheat beer batter.
Okay, so how would you make that tempura batter?
It's composed of all-purpose flour, and then the eggs, of course, with ginger ale, which is like a soda. Yeah.
So you bring some carbonation
Exactly,
into it.
yeah. And then the wheat, which we brought at Yellow Belly.
That's the Wexford wheat
Yeah, that's Wexford
ale,
ale,
which
yeah.
I guess gives it a nice, interesting kind of edgy flavor.
Yes, sir. And actually, I have a ready-made already.
Okay, yeah, because you would allow it to sit for a little while after you
yeah,
made it.
just to give them stand the flavor as well.
Okay, perfect.
So now I'm gonna do is I have the
Pre-peeled?
Yeah.
All ready to go.
Yes,
Shrimp.
all ready
yeah.
to go, and then I need to dredge them in a flour, which is also mixed with a little bit of cornstarch.
Okay, to make it stick a bit
Exactly.
easier. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, very good.
Start now.
So you're just going to pop that into the batter, and we've got some oil on here
Yes,
around
yes.
about 90, 100 degrees.
Yes.
Yeah, centigrade.
So,
No problem.
okay, there we go.
Oh, very good.
It's nice.
Nice, good, clear oil, so it's going to be nice and light, right?
Do they usually float to the top?
Yes,
Is that
when
how you
they're-
know they're done?
When
or-
they're done, yes.
Yeah. Here they come. Yes, very good. Yeah. So maybe. Okay. So.
Add a little bit. Mix some flour.
Okay.
Give a nice presentation after.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah. And they're going to become nice and golden brown now, aren't they? Yeah. Is this something you have on the menu?
Yes, actually, this is a bestseller.
Really? Oh, I can well imagine. Well imagine.
And during I think summer it's gonna be, one of the best.
Sellers.
Yes,
Completely.
completely. Yeah.
You'll be up to frying speed constantly.
Yeah. Indeed, you will.
So yeah, it's almost done.
Okay, so we can remove the the pan.
I guess so. If folks were doing this at home, it would be, for safety's sake, it would be better to use an automatic deep fryer
Yeah, that would be better.
Yeah.
Because, it's
as opposed to the open
more
pot.
safety.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start doing the plate now.
Okay, we'll remove this one as well. Because they're beautiful now, aren't they? That's for sure. How many people do you have working in your kitchen?
Right now we're, including me, we're 12.
12, okay, so you've got a full brigade, okay.
Yes.
So you've got a nice chiffonado julienne of carrot,
Yes.
okay. And you put that on a banana leaf, correct?
I
Yeah,
love to use banana leaves, especially
Yeah.
back home.
very good.
There you go.
Restaurants have special suppliers that can find them things like banana leaves, but I don't think most of us would be able to find a banana leaf in the supermarket.
No, sir. It's just it's a special order.
Yeah, okay, yeah. They look
Yeah.
beautiful. See how that puffed up that batter, that's for sure.
Yeah. So some of the people are also eating those scraps after, but
Yeah.
I love to eat it.
We used to have them in the English fish and chip shops back home. Yeah. We used to have that as the scraps, yeah.
And one more thing, I have the dipping sauce.
Okay.
Oh, a dipping sauce.
Yeah,
Yes, that's good.
we have this ginger,
Yeah.
shredded radish, which is the daikon in
Yes.
Japanese. We have the sesame oil, soya sauce, sugar, scallions, and rice wine vinegar. Just mix them together and blend it.
Yeah. So if you were serving them at home, you'd have those sauces on the table with the shrimp, and people can just take up the shrimp and dip it in
Yes, absolutely.
whatever they want. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
get some.
Is that what you have there in that one bowl there? Is that
This is the finished product. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that looks absolutely marvelous, Richard.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for showing us how to do this magnificent tempura shrimp.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
I'm going to
isn't it,
turn it
Karl?
around as we say goodbye, and we'll have a taste afterward. But look at that.
I'm sure we will.
Tempura shrimp by Richard Alata. And that's it for this edition of
One Chef.
One Critic. Wow.
That is absolutely beautiful. A little bit of dipping sauce there. I've got to be careful not to get to the table. Yeah. Very good.
Thank you.
The stove is glass topped, and the. What is that?